First, you want to All right, this special meeting of the WPA is called to order. Attendance, please, our secretary is not here, so our vice president will attendance.
We have Jill Myers, Adam Law, Jonathan Rothstein, Marilyn White, Lee, Lenny, and Mike Allen. We have a call.
I will, since this is a financial presentation, I am going to turn this meeting over to our treasurer, Jonathan.
Does everybody have a hand up?
No.
It's Robert, you're the.
Just an agenda.
Yeah, I gotta get that.
Here it is.
Take one and pass them, and then on the other side.
Take one.
Oh wait, I screwed up, I collated it.
Okay.
Oh,
Pass them
wait,
back.
no, never mind, give it back.
This is secret. I didn't realize I collated them, I gotta put them in.
Take rid of them. That's how I sent them to you. All right, so while he's doing that, I'll make a few people now. For a long time, it's been my belief in the bookkeeper. It's been 2 years, believe it or not. The original bookkeeper left in last June. Before that, we had QuickBooks desktop and couldn't do it in financial reports. We still don't. We went to QuickBooks online. But I'm pleased with that. Kelly Brunson and work with Al DeMarchi. He was treasurer. He's going to meet me on the 15th of September with Rob and Peggy. We're going to go through the books starting on the 15th. It's my belief I shouldn't be doing any of it. All these reports should be developed through QuickBooks. For me to sit here month after month, it's a complete waste of time. I love doing it, but that's not what it should be. That information should be coming out of QuickBooks. One of the things we want to do is for the budget we're talking about tonight, going forward, is the budget year to date should be up there. You should see that how expenses are being, revenue expenses are coming in, how financials are being developed by the year, month to month by the association. You really don't get that now. I mean, I can see it, and I understand people probably, I know I see it get criticized on Facebook, but I understand criticism isn't well founded. It's just a matter of getting Kelly in here and getting ourselves up to speed on the programs. So that's it. I've asked Rob also to send out letters of inquiry for engagement for CPAs. Spread it out. Let's go as far as we want to go. Send 30, 20, 30 letters out to see if we get back. I did talk to a tax accountant today. I'll briefly discuss that in just a second. But his feeling is the same as mine. There's a lot of retirements going on right now in the field. And people are going to start taking new clients. But that's no excuse. We've got to have a CPA. Now, there is a fallback in the bylaws system, in the policy, which I don't really prefer. It does allow a 5-member committee, home title board, to do a self-audit. My preference is that. I know it was done in the past, but I think with all the contrary BS going on, we need to certify the audit every year. So that's our intention. We have 2 contracts tonight before I get into the presentation. We should be signing. One was already what?
Before you move to the next,
Right.
were our taxes, had any luck with anybody to do retirement? Or were you looking at the CPA would handle the CPA and the taxes?
So I think the way it would work, a good question. So what I did, a lot of this I'm going to address on the spectrum, but the issue is that we are a corporation. So I had to file for the corporation tax, anticipated taxes. We've done that for a year. There will be more, but these are anticipated. So what I want Kelly to do is we're going to go through the program, all the accounts, so we will know what our tax status, pretty close to what our tax status is. And then a CPA, they will do the filing of what's called the 1120 corporate tax return, and our taxes will be filed. Whatever we paid versus what we have left to pay, that's all. So we have two contracts. One is we've approved, and that's the earthworks contract, which we didn't sign that night. The other one was the issue of the coastal paving. And I had gotten bid specs, but it wasn't really in contract form. I asked Joe to do that. And then I asked him to correct it, because there was a section that didn't cover us as an additional insurer. If you're gonna start at $210,000 project, you better have that. So we need to prove that. It's been approved. Well, I don't know, we approved it.
Yes, we do.
So the contract is there. In my box is supposed to be additional insurance. Those are good. Everybody's got. So let me go through some stuff for the board. The front page, I went through the accounts as we have them right today, so you can see what's going on. At South State Bank, we have 105,000 left. We transferred 60 into, we transferred that 66. Remember, we talked about that the last board meeting. Too much in the checking account, and that went with the Edward Jones. The debit account is what it is. The ARC account is what it is. South Atlantic is a little money market, which we probably can just, I don't know yet. I don't make a recommendation. There's only $1 million. TD Bank holds the money market. That 241,516 is really close to what we've got to make for payments under the dredging contract. I have a recommendation on that. And the rest of it is TD Jones money market. We aggregated and went for a scheduled CDs. You'll see the 950, 127, and 229 into 2026. And the idea is to grab a ladder. And if you notice, I don't know if you noticed today, I made some investments from Family Investment Account. The rates have dropped. They dropped pretty precipitously. So we're in pretty good shape on our interest rates right now. Then, okay, now these are the balances. As I started as your treasurer when there was a point in November, I haven't changed anything because I think it's fair to say that these were the balances. On the left, you see roads, drainage, marina, emergency, canal, landscaping, building, and future, what I want to recommend is future asset amenities, what we call that. Then we added, if you remember, I asked Al for an accounting of ARC for $60,000, and it was split by the policy. 35,650 roads, 24,350 drainage, and now you see the ending balance as they are right now before the board does anything tonight, on the 16th. Spectrum has now ending in its checking account almost 50,000. It has 123,556 and a 4.10 CD, which we renewed again, and that only goes to February 21st. All right, so that is where the money is. That's how it sits. Let's go to the second page. Unfortunately, I tried to do something, and I apologize. I tried to put everything on one page. Okay. This is what we're recommending. The finance committee, the board has had this basic information since June. We've had two finance committees since. Pretty much this is what we are recommending. We're going to make adjustments in the 2025 budget. We're going to move, we've got more interest than we anticipated. We only anticipated 1,000, but right now it's like at least 24,000 on a conservative basis. So that's what we're doing. 59 was brought over, so now we have 60 in that revised number fund. The rest of it stays the same. The Marina card has not worked at all. We only have $500 to date. Spectrum has, I believe, should, as I've always felt, and we talked about finance, and we pay for the fixed expenses. I'll get to that later, so there's 10,000 additional. Then we had the insurance claim of 29,586, which was obviously unanticipated, and that becomes a source for our budget. The changes in the expenses are 22,000 in the legal fee, but I discussed this ad nauseum. We're up to 34,000 in that. Hopefully, we can get it resolved. The other changes are pretty minimal. Federal tax, Michael's conversation meeting, we did an anticipated tax of 500 to take care of that. March filing. Insurance went down really nicely. We had budgeted 15, it's now 9, so we dropped 6.
How work do that? Why that one?
I went, you know, it went down, what can I tell you? I'm just telling you the way it is. Property taxes are the same, 3,500. We got a new fee, a stormwater fee, which we all paid. And up to now, we haven't paid, but the county informed us we're gonna pay $4,780. That's the deal on that. Security services, I had 1,000 for crowd control, for obvious reasons, maybe. And then what I did was, because we agreed on 2 accounts with dredging, 25,560, and planning improvements in the operating budget, it should not come out of reserves and transfer it over. Yeah, go ahead.
This stormwater, thing, is that something that can be bought?
You can.
Because the reason I'm saying is, our stormwater has nothing to do with Georgetown. They don't take one single penny of our, 1 ounce of our stormwater, it goes to the river. So why are we paying a tax for something that they don't handle? I can understand when you're in the city area and it goes into the sewer culverts and it goes to a plant, that they're fixing it, they ain't doing it to us.
There is a certain amount of our stormwater, some of the grates on the side of the road, catch basins that were actually installed by Georgetown County at one time. I recently found out that there was a BDP, a best management practice plan for wastewater stormwater, and that's how we ended up with some county infrastructure. So I reached out to Ryan Butler, who's the engineer with Georgetown County Stormwater, because of this. Because I think we have a justification that we're paying into stormwater management, we don't really get any support, we get zero support. So we're doing the work on.
If you notice your property tax, we all pay, and I looked at mine just to check, there's a line item for stormwater.
I don't handle what the skins and all that, I wasn't, she didn't even tell me anything
Yeah,
about it. This is actually the
I
first
know
time.
that Adam, Joe and I talked about going back to the county, Adam said, we need to say, hey, you know, we're paying in, you should get something back maybe for home. Anyway, that's. So then so that's your operating, so then then you've got 264,679 expenses based on 548,992 revenue. I subtracted out the insurance, which isn't ours. There is a retainage that Earthworks holds for us, so that's back in money for us. Then I subtracted out the 269. You get your balance, which now becomes your reserve. That money balances out at 264,977. If you look on that next, well, any questions? So let's go to the allocation reserve fund. So your balance on your profit and loss equals what you're going to net out. The board has to make some decisions. So let me go through that. Again, I took the reserve balance that I started with, added drainage, and then we have a $778,925 balance. Now, here's the issue. We only have $112,748 in the dredging. We never allocated anything in 2024. But now we have to do it in 2025 to come up with our 213,510. So the allocation would be 38% of the 264. So it's $100,762. Then you had an issue with, we went and had some marina work done. It went into a negative, the reserve went into negative reserve for years. So I added 15% there. I mean, you can play with the figures. Certainly, that's 30, I mean, you wind up with 39,750. Chris and Adam have more solution. You really need that balance. The rest of it should go really into roads. That's our major asset. That's 46.9%. So that balance is your 264,997, is your balanced allocation of what's equity, what's your balance is. So the ending balance of $1,043,000, you subtract out tonight, you have that $210,000 road paving project, and we have a $213,510. And so that would leave at the end of the year $610,397, and that's what you would have at the end of the year in your reserve accounts. And then, of course, the new board will take over and will decide in March, when the new budget is, the new budget comes in, and you see what we have left at the end of the year, how much more they want to add to it. At this point, I project about almost 200,000, if you look at next year's 2026. Any questions? All right, let's talk Spectrum. This is interesting. There's been a lot of discussion about Spectrum. I got some interesting things to tell you. First of all, there's been a lot of discussion that we're non-profit. Okay, let me explain this to everybody. Take your pencils out. We are not a 501c3. That would be for welfare activities and political activities. We're not filed under that. We're filed on state Title 33. Yes, we're not profit. But our filings, our federal filings are 1120. That's corporate federal filing. For instance, the businesses that Fran and I own, we file 1120S, which is subchapter S. We're a corporation. Here we file it in a corporation. And based on that, we pay a corporate rate. Okay, so that's how we look at Spectrum if you were going to make money on Spectrum. However, I talked to the tax guru today, and he and I had an interesting conversation. You look at the three scenarios I gave you. We have 370 subscribers, I think. You get 82 years old. But you have 370 subscribers. I'm taking the worst cases out. Al told me this afternoon. But you got to do a risk analysis. I mean, if we get more data, things could change a little. But if you take the 370 and you run it across and you say, okay, these are the scenarios: 370 with no reduction in the subscriber fee, 370 with a $5 deduction, and 370 with a $70 deduction. Now, I need to explain the contract. A lot of people aren't familiar with the contract. Maryland is, I am. Stan is, but he's not here today. I think we're the ones that know it well.
Yes.
The contract was negotiated and signed in March of 2024. Our first billing was June. There is a provision in the contract called a bulk service fee. That's a 4% fee. And how that works is it goes for it has to go a year cycle. So the potentiality is that we would be billed 4% on the base bulk fee. Now, what Spectrum does is charges $47 a fee for every subscriber that we have, plus the additional, charges that they have. It comes to around $52.31 are what we have to cover. The $80 was set up to cover Rob at the time that he came in before Michelle left was 10 hours. So we were going to cover his 10 hours. And we were also going to cover, it was my recommendation to cover certain fixed expenses. The issue here is none of the fixed expenses on this program can come out of our operating account. Because then if you're not a subscriber and it comes out of our operating account, we could really be in trouble. So it was my contention, and I talked to the finance committee, that I would then, the individual who was responsible for this left in June. I set up the budget, and I think it was August. And then we had a town hall meeting in September and October, that we set up we had a 6-month budget that I set up, and then we set up a full year's budget. And there were fixed operating expenses that Spectrum should cover. We shouldn't cover Rob's time, his payroll expenses, rent, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the basis of this budget you see in there. Now, the interesting thing is, here's what I'm thinking. I know we talked in finance about a $5 deduction, but we can do this a different way. And we don't pay taxes based on it. So this is how we do it. What we do is Kelly Brunson comes in here, she goes through the books, and when we come to March, after the CPA has also looked at the books, we'll see what's left. My thinking now is we'd be probably close to at least $20,000 that we would credit as a refund against each one of the people who are a subscriber. That way, if we don't get the 4%, cross your fingers that we don't get billed at 4% bulk rate, then we're going to send back to you an equal 1-month refund. And that's how the program would work. Now, why do we do it that way? Well, it's called a offset to subscription fees, and it goes to the bottom line. And when you subtract that out, plus some of the marketing that I don't have, which will include this program, doesn't make any money, and there's no tax. So that's a benefit to the association. So I think it's a different way of looking at this instead of just handing you 5 and reducing the rate. I think there's another way to do it. The more people that we're at, when we set up the budget, it was 360 last year. We got to 370, which was our goal. Our goal this year should be 380. In the RAG, we're going to start a marketing campaign. We want to get to 380. Every subscriber that we get is more money that can go back to the subscribers on the spectrum. But in no circumstance should the operating fund cover anything. It's a standalone, separate program, and we can balance it out so it doesn't show any. So that's. But the question was then, well, if we're sort of a hybrid, if we're nonprofit on the state but corporate or federal, should the association be running a program like this? The tax attorney told me it's too complicated. He said, well, leave it alone. Don't set up a separate nonprofit. I mean, I've had other comments from other people to set up a separate corporation. He said, it's ridiculous. You can run it within our QuickBooks program and as we separate out the finances. I think that's it. So my recommendation tonight also is to set up a separate checking account. Now, at South State, we could probably use the money market or move that money over. And set up our separate checking accounts. We have to divorce ourselves now. In terms of the other thing is we need to set up a separate checking account on dredging. We got to move and take and look at dredging as a separate entity. Every time we pay our vendors, we record it and it's separated on QuickBooks, and it makes it a much better way to carry things in. So my recommendation, I mean, the review of the 25 budget are really performing. It's just items that have changed in 2025. 26, you have it. I'll go through what I think are the highlights for 26. Okay, so we've got the first one we're going to hit is no assessment. There's no assessment increase needed for this budget at all. Assessment stays the same. Secondly would be, I covered Rob's salary. The next biggest, which you see there under payroll, wages and payroll expenses. Payroll expenses are like those kinds of payroll expenses. Item 15 is 45,000. I think one of the things the board recognized through the discussions on dredging pro income, and we probably needed a way forward. So we set up a committee for a master plan for drainage and for dredging. Adam had gotten a quote of $45,000 for plan. I don't know if you're going to need all 45, but we put it in there for planning purpose, hire an engineer to take a look at that, to work with the committee and come forward with a master plan for dredging and drainage. So that's why that's in there. That's the first time. The other thing that is, I think it's difficult. Al and I have gone around in circles on this. I don't know what to tell you, but I know that compliance isn't working well. And I don't believe that a policy board sitting here should be the policing entity for compliance. It just doesn't. Our role is you elect us, we set the policy, we work with that in our committee structure. We set the policy with them, and they go on their merry way and implement our policy. My belief is you have a compliance officer, independent third-party compliance officer, who we hire at. And the way it would work, the board has got to decide at the beginning of the year, should have probably a workshop session at the beginning of the year, where it sits down with its committees, goes through the committees of what the plan is going to be for the year, and sets the agenda. In compliance, I think it has to set an agenda of what it wants to do with compliance. How strong it wants to be, how weak it wants, I mean, we get criticized either way. But it's going to have to pick something that it's going to start with in compliance and work with that third party compliance officer. This is just a recommendation, board can throw it out. But I can't see that a voluntary committee, it's your neighbor, it doesn't work, folks. I don't care how you slice the apple. You need you need a person in here who works under the aegis of the board and committee and goes out and works with compliance. And it doesn't have to be that account. It's very simple. This is what we're going to do for the year. The board sets the agenda. This is how we're going to do it. We go forward and work it out. But I just voluntary. You can see what happened with Stan. It's a tough one.
It is a tough one, but actually Stan, they
They
did
did.
have a lot of progress, and they had some
They
good
did.
wins.
They did have some good.
Yeah.
And they're going to get tougher now. I don't know if those wins. But yeah, that's just. We got the stormwater fee in there for $47.84. We have security services, I increased to $2,000. That's pretty much it. I mean, I think the big takeaway here is no assessment, the $45,000 in there for the plan. And that's it for year 2026, and the monies that are there. It's more than large like this decision. That's your final position. I have to take any questions.
You said no assessment, you mean no assessment increase.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, you told me you were gonna write me a check for $417,000. Come on. You're right.
Now,
Oh, good.
I haven't been involved with ARC since January, but I'm just curious on the spectrum. We are entitled to, I believe, $300 door fee for all the new residents that sign up. Have we pursued this with all the new building that's going on?
Maybe, I was taking you off to take a look at it. Here's I failed to mention this. We got a door fee of $147,000. We're allocated up to $159,000. So every new house that's built, we get a certificate of occupancy. We submit that to Jennifer inspection. We get $300 up to another $12,000. So it's it's pretty decent money. So Peggy and Robert, what I asked them to do, start in June when we started. Contract really started and go through the end of this month now. It's over in August and see how many new houses we got and get the CO submitted to Jennifer.
And how about the past, last year's new?
No, that's what we're doing. We're going back.
Oh, way back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To the original contract, June 24 contract. Okay, thank you.
It's serious. I mean, it's another $12,000 if it comes
It's a shoe-in, free money.
Can you help me understand why we need a separate checking account for the canals?
I think it's just a good thing to have.
Rather, I mean, what's the difference between that
I-
and maintenance and grass mowing?
On that one, because it's been so controversial, I think it's better just to have it set. That's my opinion, just have it set. I mean,
What's that gonna solve though?
it doesn't solve anything, it works better in terms of the accounting procedure. Yeah,
I mean, as long as we've got it separated in the budget, it's the same thing as having a separate checking account.
yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
Well, there were some issues that you ran into when you were going back to look at engineering. So like there were invoices written to Earthworks without proper memos attached to them, which created a little bit of a conflict. We didn't, Earthworks also managed our marina project at one point. So it was kind of, it's a cleaner way of accounting.
I mean,
separate it all out. Then we can go back and look at one spot and we know exactly what's been paid.
I think you got a good point, and with Kelly coming in makes a big difference. Kelly working with Robert, I'll ask her, she's gonna be your signature. Not a whole lot.
I'm just.
No, it's a good point.
I mean, as long as we've got a budget that is workable, which, I mean, you've done an excellent job with this.
No, it's a good point.
I mean, I don't know that it's gonna make a bit of difference,
Probably not.
one way or the other.
That's good.
And the last thing we
Yeah,
want
right.
is additional checking accounts.
Yeah, true. We ought to be eliminated. I got news for you.
Yeah.
Patrick, where you go?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Note 17, can you explain that to me? On the first page, it's the ARC compliance officer.
Oh, okay, so what that is when ARC collects money from everybody, certain percentage comes back to the, and so,
It's a new position, so I just want to know the justification for it.
what happens with, that's code enforcement, 17 is code enforcement.
Yeah.
But you raise a good point on this. For a long time, what was happening was we weren't accounting for the monies that was sitting in, it was a big controversy with that, was called a slush fund. So I went to Al, I said, Al, go back to the beginning, let's take a look at what do we have which really belongs to, it should come back to the association that stays in our account. He did a great job, and that's where that 60,000.
And, what are art supplies?
Office supplies?
Office supplies.
Whatever he would. That's Robert.
Yeah, that was art supplies, and,
And we said ARC
Arc.
supplies.
Arc supplies.
Oh, ARC.
yeah, art.
That was for new transit, okay?
Transit,
Oh, yes.
So when we could help solve some of our drainage problems, checking out elevations of plot plans, things like that.
Somebody else had it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Can you clarify for me, I thought, and I'm new to the community, so part of my knowledge or lack of
No,
our procedures, but I was thinking y'all were gonna approve a 26 budget at the November meeting coming up, but you had mentioned something, what confused me is you had mentioned something about the 26 budget in March.
Okay, so
of 26, I was thinking,
Right.
well, why do we wait that long to do it?
So what happens, the board can't really make, the board can make its allocation, and they can approve everything tonight, but it shouldn't. Basically, the way it works, they recommend everything in here to the September 16th meeting. At the September 16th meeting, we approve the budget for 2026.
Which would be like this column here?
Right.
Okay.
And that goes in your annual packet, but the board has the ultimate authority to make that decision. So that's why we thought a meeting with this, this association would be a good idea.
No, excellent.
Then in
Very much
March,
appreciated.
yeah, no, in March, what will happen is, so Kelly comes in, she works with Ron and Peggy, and then we have a CPA, they audit us, and at the end of that audit, we'll have, they'll recommend what monies we have and should be allocated to reserve accounts from the 25 fiscal year. And in March, the board then should be allocating that money. Now, what's happened the last 3 years, that hasn't happened. We're gonna go back on that schedule, so that's it.
So basically, you'll amend the 26 budget after the audit.
Well, no, yeah, it depends, yeah, right, it's gonna depend how much,
Depending on the
how
results.
much we're carrying forward, exactly.
In March, basically what he's saying, in March, I mean, your assessment's coming in.
Yeah.
There's only so much of the assessment that's needed for operating. The rest of it will be allocated to go into the reserve in March, and you'll decide to break that, where you wanna go, into which account, how much for in March.
See,
You've already got the X amount of money you're bringing in, it's you're just figuring out where you're putting it.
it's my goal that in January, with working with Kelly, starting in January, you get a profit and loss statement, balance sheet, which you don't see, I don't do the balance sheet, and a reserve update from our QuickBooks account, and you would also get a profit and loss statement for the year. And that's what you should be getting every month from me to you, from Kelly and Penny and Rob. It hasn't worked that way. Listen, I'm not happy, don't. And I get criticized because I understand it, it's hard to explain some of this, but that's the way it should work. We haven't had that because it's just the way for a year, we haven't had a booking. And I think that's terrible. In fact, I can't even get into those accounts. I've been accused of getting into those. I don't even know which passwords are. I couldn't tell you. And the reason is I don't want it. I don't want it.
But if you look here down the side, it tells you the percentage breakdown, like roads is 65%, drainage is 10%, marine is 3%, is 0.03%, canals are 20%. So it tells you the breakdown of how much is going in, and you'll figure out in March of how much is needed in operating. Then after your operating is there, then you know how much you have in reserve, and then you handle them.
What I have is a good, I talked with the major committees, so we got roads, drainage, canals, landscaping, et cetera. So when I did the budget, we had a pretty good idea of how much money should be sitting in reserve accounts. The other thing we have a reserve study we do every 5 years, which recommends how we should allocate for our reserve accounts. We have also a PCI, the pavement condition improvement study, which looks at all our roads and recommends that. So we take into that account But, things change from year to year, and then that's how we allocate reserves back into reserve accounts. I mean, we should have more spectrum. It's a good program. Criticize, I think the criticism now is good.
You would consider having the harbor part of the
Now,
spectrum?
that's another thing, you see, and Al, and I had that discussion today, and I had it with Muriel. Arbor should really be part of it. Everyone's working with Joe Cosner, our legal counsel on that, but if they were to come in, how many homes we talking?
27.
27 times 80 times 12 is money that would go right back to the subscribers on Spectrum, let alone coming into the reserve. Now, let me just add something, I can only say so much. But Merrill and I are in negotiation with Joe Crosby and the 22 lots that we've gone into foreclosure. They sent us an opening bid, and Merrill and I, like true mob people, said, no, we're not accepting it. This is what we're gonna accept, so we're negotiating. Cross your fingers, have we got that money?
Yeah.
We're pretty good, I mean, we're talking some nice funds. So that's going on. We did get some money from the other four. We got one person came back and paid us over $300,000, and now we're in foreclosure on the other ones. Sorry, folks, yours. That's where we are on that.
I have a question.
Just now.
If we include the others, would that also mean that they would have to pay our association fee? Because they are using the roads and everything?
Have to pay $725.
That's right.
Yes.
I mean, that would be the only way to include
Yes.
spectrum,
Yes.
right?
That's correct. No other company.
I just want to make sure that
Yes.
everybody understands.
I mean, I think that, if you look at our association, and I look at it as a small business, and, a million plus business, and it's doing fine. I mean, I know there's been a lot of, when you look at the accounts and what we were able to do, with a little assessment of only $725, $60 a month, and I look at other HOAs and what they charge, I think, we do pretty good.
Suppose one of the arbors says, no, I don't wanna do it. Does that kill the whole thing?
What's that?
Like one house in the arbor?
Oh, I don't know, what's the issue?
I don't think
We
so,
don't-
no. It's
What do you
just
want? What's the question?
a percentage that can vote to join, and then if that, they have to have a meeting. Then if that percentage votes to join, they all have to.
Exactly that.
Well, the problem is they no longer have an association. They're basically defunct. They haven't filed with the state in years, okay? They have no officers. And at one time, there were 18 residents there that did not want to be part of the WPA. Well, their original covenants required that they be a member of the WPA. Now, the population there is such that I think you could get the majority of them to agree to become part of the WPA and drop, and we would go through a merger, a Title 33 merger, and they would become part of the WPA officially, and they could have the benefits of access to the marina, spectrum, and so on.
So.
I'm just looking at, like, say you're paving roads, that we'll pave this road, oh, these two houses aren't part of it, we're not paving these two. Oh, we're gonna do these next three houses.
No,
Or
it's-
then if you have a storm cleanup,
Alan,
the houses aren't a part of it, or taking all the debris, pile it on the lots that are a part of it, now you're cleaning up their stuff.
Alan,
You know what I mean?
and I are.
It's 27 lots. That was it.
So it would be a majority. That's what it would take, is just a majority.
Yes.
Yeah, it's $25,000 just to pay. I mean, we talked some serious money.
I have a question. I don't understand this spectrum deal.
Huh?
I mean, you're talking about getting money for new construction. Well, what happens if the people that have the construction don't want spectrum?
Well, Spectrum is voluntary, you don't have to do
Yeah.
it if you don't want.
So that's fine. You don't get a door fee.
You just don't get the door fee.
Right.
Those that are on, we have three, so if we move, if we can give you credit, pay 370 subscribers that we get a month's, credit. And you would get that but based on these figures, you would get that every year for the next 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9, because numbers don't change, but the driver rates probably can go up, so the minimum you're gonna see is probably you're gonna pay for 11 months. How about that? You figure it out, it's not that.
Nice.
Nothing?
That was easy.
No.
Adjourn.
Well, no. You can't. You need airports. You need airports.
Yeah, well, we,
I think one thing we need to do is the board needs to allocate, the board should tonight allocate what the finance committee presented for the allocations for 2025, which would be those three items, road, that's all you have to really do tonight is, well, you have to adopt the revisions, you have to agree to the revisions of 25, and then you have to agree to the allocations of 120, let me make a motion, and then we can debate. So I make a motion that the board allocate $124,485 for roads, $39,750 to marina, and $100,762 to canal, for a total of $264,900.
discussion? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
My second, the second, well, thank you. The second motion is I move that the board agree to the 2025 revised budget for a total of $551,143 in revenue, and $264,679 in expenses, for a net total of $264,907.
Discussion? We discussed this. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
And so at the September 16th meeting, so everybody knows, we're doing that, the board will approve the spectrum policy, and you'll adopt the 2026 budget. That should happen. And the spectrum budget. That's it.
All right.
Are you proposing on the spectrum budget to seriously drop $5?
No, I would keep the $80 fee and then give a refund probably in March of 1 month. That's,
So you're probably paying 11 months instead of one paying 12 months.
When you switch to your cash basis, off your accrual basis, for the IRS, would that change your tax law?
no, because the finance committee, actually on this, we talked about going to a modified, right? We talked about going to a modified
We did,
accrual. I
yes.
think in May we had that. So in January, we probably were going to go modified accrual. Because the problem, as we discussed, is that spectrum, if you do it on a cash basis, it looks like it's losing money because none of the receivables come into the balance sheet.
Your receivables are constant.
Yeah, but they won't show on a cash basis. No, but they sit there, and he bid out. Rob, when are you gonna bill out this month? I'm giving the quote there. So Rob will bill out this month, but you're gonna have a number of people who have not paid. It won't show you, that's the problem. So I could go modify, it will show a receivable list. The problem, I know what you're saying, that's the problem in that quoting. I got Kelly Brunson in here, and we're gonna get our finance house. But we'll be okay.
Then we're gonna be saying, hey, if you want spectrum, we're gonna pay us that. Like you had to do with spectrum number 111. What you have to do with your HT state.
That's a problem.
111, you pay in advance. You're not paying after you get it, you pay before you get it. You drop it, they send you a credit.
One of my criticisms of spectrum is I thought that, my thinking was you signed for a year. The way it was sold, the only way we could sell at that time, because of the controversy, it had to be voluntary. It was an open-ended contract. I felt it should be his contract. It's okay,
We talked about originally
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah. But
They
anyway,
wanted annual upfront, and if they couldn't handle it, semi-annual upfront. And ended up with monthly Pay it
Well,
when you feel like it.
Well, the board in the bylaws can change, it has the ability to change actually the way it bills out its annual assessment. It can do it before, and it can also do that.
And I can't use the word assessment.
No, I mean,
I would do,
So that's another discussion.
I would keep it separate, you do that, not when our assessments due like in May or something like that, how that is. So, I mean, that's like how Hadley does it, is give $500 for the year or $600 for the year.
I mean, you can do it.
And they don't have to worry about collecting any money from anybody or anything like that. If you don't pay your $600, you don't get cable. I mean, it's.
The good thing now, of the 375 bills that we send out every month, 90% are email. We want to get everybody on an email, just so it's paid that way, instead of sending out a paper.
But I mean, it probably would cut, like, doing that in advance would cut down a lot of the time that it's taking any office to doing monthly billing and stuff like that as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
One more question. That's okay.
It's more of an observation.
Okay, yes.
I mean,
Yeah, you can
it
comment.
affects,
Sure.
it affects kind of everything, not just finance, but kind of everything. And it's not pointing fingers at anyone, except for maybe, I don't want to, when I was in the business world, and now that I'm in the church world, we kind of, once a decision was made, the board, we decided then that, okay, whatever our goal is, we are all on the board going to say to the congregation, to community, whoever it may be, that we are going to stand behind that decision. I would recommend and would ask that this board does that same process. That you as the board will send something, whether it's in the rag or whatever it is, or in a letter or something to the community, because right now this community is being torn apart. And if we don't do something soon, I mean, I don't like being called a slime ball just because I live on the canals. I mean, this community is more than what we're making it out to be. And I don't hate anyone. And I know that there's a lot of people in this community who don't hate me. So why would they say people call or be on Facebook saying that the whole community hates me because I live on the canal? I can't imagine that they do. Jonathan, you know this well. They are calling you everything but a child of God. And me as well.
Well, I'm behind you then. But you know, you raise a good point. Adam,
But the thing
go ahead,
is,
go ahead.
to finish
You go
my
ahead.
observation, this board can change that. This board can make that disappear by putting something out to the community saying, we as a board, we find that this decision that we've made about the canal, about dredging, about the lawnmower, about mowing the grass, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We agree with this, and we're gonna all uphold this. But if you don't, it's gonna tear this community apart. And I don't mean that as a political statement, I just mean that as, we need to do something, and you as the board can help with that. You can be the models for it.
I just kind of want to add to that, there's so many people that are not on Facebook. And bless them, because they do not see the ugliness out there.
Yes.
And
That's why we got off of Facebook.
yes, well, it is very important. People can, our volunteers, or board members, can go after them on Facebook. And they'll target you. And they will not target certain people. So my suggestion, and I've done this too, to my friends, is I've told them to cut it out. And as board members, you know these individuals, you could do the same thing, is tell people to cut it out. Every one of you up here is a volunteer, and you're doing your best. And I know that because I was a board member, and I did my best. But that's what I think we need to reiterate for people we need to support the decisions, whether it goes down to 5 to 4 or 6 to 3, whatever. But we really need to come together. And we have a lot of big projects coming up in the future. The drainage, the roads, and quite frankly, there's not anything budgeted because we don't know what that expense is. But we need to have community people, volunteers working to put a plan together. Help Adam out, because Adam, I didn't realize you were doing everything that you're doing, but we need committees, and more volunteers, because we're working the death out of people like Al and many others, and that's my neighbor here on Lansky. But we need people just to come together and work.
There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but once the decision is made, it's made.
But the other thing I'd like to add is, and you're right, is when people see all of this bickering on Facebook or whatever, I know, we've lived here now for 9 years. And I know when we were looking to move in, my wife went back and she was searching all the way back at the 09 Dredging, when people were getting punched in the face and everything else, and wondering, hey, is this what we want to move into? But you're getting that now with the bickering back and forth, and people are looking at that. And Robert will tell you that if you look at the number of houses that have turned over, the number of houses that have turned over have dropped seriously. And people don't want to come into a community when that's all it is. It's just everybody bashing their heads against each other.
Yes.
I feel like if the board would send out something that said, this is what was decided on dredging, and this is the money that's being spent, this is where it's coming from, this is what people on the canals are paying out of their pockets, this is what came out of the budget. No, you're not gonna lose your house because your rates are going up thousands of dollars. And I saw that on Facebook. No, you're not gonna have to move because you can't afford to pay for somebody else's dredging. Word it nicely. This is what it's gonna cost, this is where the money's coming from, it's come from HOA dues for years, if I understand correctly. It's been put in the budget, it's been planned, it's not a surprise. And this is why it's done, so that new people moving in understand, the people that are on Facebook telling the lies, stop the lies. And I think that would stop the fighting, it's the rumors. And if you all call the rumors out, and say, no, this is the truth, this is what this is what's gonna be done, no more rumors. And I think that people would get over it.
Maybe the singing Kumbaya.
Yeah, prayer meetings, which we did have.
We did today.
Yeah.
Today at 4 o'clock, we had a prayer meeting right out here, and we prayed for this whole community. And it was great. And we need more of those. Not just because I'm a pastor, but because we need to have more of those.
All right, anything
And
else?
if you have to,
We're all talking about living in this community, okay, because you bought a house here. Well, you didn't buy a house in Whitefield, you bought into a community, and that's what these people need to understand. And we are the lowest HOA in anywhere, just to give you an example, Alston, $220 a month. Devereux has a base fee of $293 a month, and you could be paying as much as $4,000 additional a month, depending on your proximity to the beach. Okay, Paulie's Plantation, $509 a month. Okay, and we're bitching about $61.
I don't wanna live in Devereux.
Yeah.
This is where I wanna live.
All right,
Thank you.
all right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, that's one of the most important things I heard, all the rates that are